My experience with the E60 M5 has been a straight up roller coaster. I purchased it and it left me stranded immediately. We fixed it and it broke again. I then poured thousands of dollars and countless amount of hours into maintenance in hopes of finally being able to enjoy this legendary car. I just wanted to have some fun. Is that too much to ask for? We slapped on an FI exhaust and tears came to my eyes. It was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. And then 2 days later, the car was right back to being down. The throttle body actuators took a dump. The car was in infinite limp mode and this was not a cheap fix. In the previous episode we addressed them and now we are back to having some fun, hopefully. My M5 is getting a massive upgrade that in the past I could only dream of.
This is going to be an absolute game changer. A full carbon fiber E60 M5 CSL upgrade. These are from a company called Infinity Design. And this has to be one of the most gorgeous upgrades I've ever seen for any BMW. The upgraded intake cones look absolutely stunning. 100% pre-rigged carbon, not the fake stuff. The one thing that I'm probably mostly excited about is this one-piece plenum, which is built to be modular, where everything comes apart, making it easier to install, and it just looks downright epic. You got the rest of the intakes right here, the side inlets. Infinity Design also included a USB cable and OBD device here to tune the car.
Depending on what your wants and needs are, you can choose to go with the OEM inlet size or you can opt in for the saucy spec like I did. The top spec plenum with CSL inlets which have a much bigger diameter to allow for more airflow and of course awesome induction sound.
Not only is the car gonna sound so good, it's gonna look great, and we're gonna pick up some extra power. For more information on the CSL upgrade, I'm gonna leave links down in the video's description. Infinity Design has just been killing it lately with a lot of their new products for the F80, the F30 N55, even the F10 M5. Make sure to check them out. They're doing some good stuff. They do a lot of development, and they have dyno graphs to prove all the performance gains.
First things first, the throttle body boots needed to be transferred over from the OEM plenum to the carbon one. I made sure to inspect them first before doing so, because the last thing you want is fitment issues and air leaks.
So I had to improvise a little bit. These one-time use clamps that come with the OEM plenum, obviously you're not gonna reuse them. So instead, I opted in for standard hose clamps, which I couldn't find the proper size anywhere around the area. So I went to the plumbing section at Home Depot and bought these pieces that come with the perfect size clamps. That's right, I got 10 of these pieces just so I can use the clamps. What you gotta do, what you gotta do. That is called opportunity cost. Anyways, I'm just gonna sit them on here and then we'll go ahead and kind of lay the plenum onto the engine and see what steps we take from there. I think I have an idea. Damn, yellow fly is back. Where's he at?
Somewhere, I don't know.
Bro, the yellow fly is scary, man.
Protect me.
Where is he at? There's a few ways. Infinity Design tells you to unbolt the velocity stacks. The problem with that is it's gonna be hard to get everything aligned perfectly. So I got a better idea.
You do or me?
I came up with the idea.
No, I came up with the idea.
Dude, you said install it the traditional way. That.
Traditional way is the better way.
Yeah, the traditional way he's saying is the same way we took off the original plenum, put it in there, install everything, and then go in there and try to find these right here on the sides.
Yeah, because the plenum is higher than the OEM.
I don't care. I'd rather tighten these on without the plenum and then just, that's it.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is, I'm gonna tighten the bottom clamps so it attaches to the metal throttle body adapters that comes with the plenum. That way, once we place it on the engine, we can loosen up the velocity stacks and it should keep this on the throttle bodies so we can tighten everything the right way.
Or we just do it my way.
No.
Unfortunately on video, I won't be taking things apart because everything is already taken apart. It made no sense to install everything back after doing the throttle actuators, then go through the headache of taking them back off. In a nutshell, you remove the cowl, the intakes, the inlets, loosen the expansion tank, remove all the hoses scattered around the plenum, loosen each throttle body clamp, which can be tricky, pop each plenum side off, and voila.
You guys decide to go with these clamps like I did, you gotta put them in the right direction. I'll have Ali explain why, because he has experience doing CSL upgrades on like the E46.
So you have a throttle linkage here, you have a throttle linkage here, and then there's also obviously these bolts that stick out. Obviously when you're under the throttle, this goes like this. This movement right here has to have no resistance whatsoever and nothing of any kind of like obstruction. So let's say one of the clamps, like this guy, gets in the way of this linkage, and when the throttle opens, it's gonna contact it and it won't allow the whole entire bank to open. We positioned them that way for now, just to see if it would fit. But if you're gonna position them, make sure you position them the way where the throttle linkage opens all the way without any kind of obstruction on this side or this side, because you will get drivetrain malfunctions, and I don't think you wanna take this off again.
Hell no. And he was explaining also that's why the OEM ones are like seated in this specific location where they have these things to mark where they go. That's so they don't interfere with anything there. The reason this modular design is super important is so we can install it without having an air leak. Notice how we were able to line up this side correctly through the throttle bodies, everything seated correctly. And then you look at this side and it's off. It's not straight. So what Infinity Design recommends is you install one side and then you do the other side. And this is why they give you the ability to remove the velocity stacks so you can install the boots before installing this bigger piece. So you would install the boots with the throttle body adapters, and then you line these up appropriately and then you bolt them on. And that should be the easier way than trying to get all 10 throttle bodies to line up perfectly. So the reason we place it on top first is so we can get the correct alignment for these holes right here. Instead of just having to individually install them without the plenum, then you have to figure out the alignment later on. This is like the perfect alignment now. So we should be able to tighten it up at the bottom, make sure they're fully seated and sealed, and then we continue.
This was definitely the trickiest part of the installation. It took a ton of patience. We placed the plenum on top for reference. The goal here was to line it up. Layla, stop. Can you stop snoring? Thank you. We placed the plenum on top for reference. The goal here was to line up the holes from the adapters to the plenum itself by rotating them if needed. The two velocity stacks closest to the firewall were the trickiest, as the room to see and get a tool back there was witchery. But the good news is, once you get those two properly bolted on, the rest became easier. This part is definitely a two-person job, and luckily for me, I had Mr. Swap Depot, Ali, to help a brother out.
Finally installed it, tightened up all the boots, the hoses clamped on, two to the front, two to the rear were also clamped on. Just gonna go ahead and put this one back on here. And then I believe Ali's working on the ones on this side. He has to put this hose there.
We thought of a brilliant idea after we finished bolting on the stacks. Instead of having you guys wait to the end of the video, why not give you guys a preview of what the plenum sounds like when it's open? Man, who am I kidding? I was the impatient one and I wanted to hear it already.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Do it again! Bruh, who needs an exhaust system for the E60 M5 when you can get a CSL carbon fiber upgrade like that? Sounds like an exhaust system is in the hood. I mean, under the hood.
You should just leave it open. I like the way it sounds like
Oh
that.
my God, yeah, but we'd have to drive with a drivetrain malfunction or do some kind of a delete or whatever the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, the speed density.
Speed density, yeah. That sounds fucking mental. Oh my God. And we haven't even fully installed it yet. And we don't even have the intakes on yet, which is probably gonna sound epic as well. Holy moly.
Well, it turns out we do need a tune.
Oh yeah, so remember how I told you guys Infinity Design includes the OBD adapter with the cable to tune the car? Well, I think we're gonna need it because there's no location to plug in the mass airflow sensor. So technically we can run it just like this. All right, let's get this cover on. And after we do the cover, then we'll move on to the side inlets, the intakes, and then we'll take the car for a rip. Assuming there's no drivetrain malfunction and the car is fixed after the throttle body replacement. Infinity Design told me to download and install this software, iFlash, onto the computer. Connect the device they provide to the car's OBD port, connect the USB cable to the laptop and that device. And now it's just reading the DME information from the car. So then we can send that over to them and then they can send back a tune for this car. Looks like it's gonna be a while, 49 minutes. So make sure you have your battery charger connected if you're attempting to do this.
One thing I didn't mention earlier, which is pretty important, use blue Loctite on all the hardware and do it initially. You don't want any screws backing out.
All right, moving on to the side inlets. I'm gonna just put a hardware on this corner and that corner to hold it in place. Just a little bit. Say that. We struggling over there, bro. So when doing these side inlets, it's probably a good idea to install them before installing the plenum, because you have 3 holes down there with a very, very, very tough angle to tighten the screws.
Yeah, but then you also run into a dilemma of trying to get to the middle cylinders with the intake inlets in the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I gotta remove this thing again?
Easiest way to do it, pop the screw in first and then guide it down there into that hole. And then try to align it. Always start from the bottom to the top. We tried to tighten in the top initially. That made it harder.
These intake cones are absolutely beautiful and help with restricting airflow. And before anyone says anything about these not performing better than the OEM ones, let me tell you this. Infinity Design has proved this with endless amount of development. Like I mentioned earlier, they have dynos to back up their products. These are sealed and line up with the factory air channels to get the coolest air possible.
All right, so we're almost done with the installation. Just gotta get the intake portion installed, which should be relatively easy, hopefully. Probably gotta start with this piece first. As you guys can see here, like this flanged out end has to slide into the inside of the engine bay, the front section. There's also a section on the bottom side of the engine bay that has a triangular cutout, and that's where we're gonna line this up to. I got these clamps loosely fitted on here, so we can prepare to tighten that up. And the one that's on the intake portion, I also loosened it up just a bit so we can have a little bit of play. Look at that. Oh my God. This has to be one of the most epic upgrades I've ever seen on any car. It looks absolutely insane. It's time, guys. It's time to hear what the setup sounds like. I'm gonna go ahead and close the valves on the FI exhaust. That way we can get more focus on the plenum and the intakes. Me likey. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and open up the valves on the FI exhaust so we can hear what the combo sounds like. This is gonna be epic, I already know it. I almost feel like the carbon intakes in the plenum made the exhaust sound louder. And then you combine the induction with that amazing exhaust from FI, and I have no words for it, guys. I got no words. All right, so we're taking the car for a drive. I'm gonna set the exhaust valves to closed, see if we can hear some plenum induction sounds from inside of the car. Oh yeah, you can definitely hear it. Obviously inside of the car. Wow. I think that was Bada's first time experiencing an SMG transmission shift. Woo! 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 All right, let's get them valves open, baby. my God. Bro. Oh, bro. Bonner's back there laughing, bro, and smiling. That's why the E60 M5 is king, bro. It makes people smile. When it's working, of course. Bro, that was saucy, bro.
Yeah,
that was saucy, bro. Oh my God. Bro, you can definitely hear more induction sound. Guys, I don't know if you guys can hear this in camera, but the E60 M5 sounds like there's an exhaust system in the engine bay. It sounds that saucy. Oh my God. Listen, with all the trouble and all the issues I have with the car, it feels like when I get to moments like this, it ends up being so worth it. Even if the car is only gonna last me a day before it breaks down again. So far, no engine light. Knock on. Damn, I got no wood in here. Knock on wood. I know the M5 sounds amazing and all, guys, but the best part about all of this, no check engine light.
Here are my thoughts. Apart from the insanely good looks that totally transforms the engine bay of the S85, this upgrade sounds insane. The induction sound had me wanting to drive the car more and more, and the power you pick up from the tune and CSL setup is definitely noticeable. I don't remember my M5 losing traction prior to the upgrade the way it does now. And we don't even have the headers yet, which by the way, they are on the way to the shop. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that video, and make sure to hit the like button as it really does help. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.